G'day and thanks for joining me for Humble Choice Smash or Pass for April 2025. In this series, I check out the offering of the Humble Choice bundle each month and compare reviews, value and the compatibility of each game. Will I smash the choose games button or will I pass this time and hope for a better offering next month? My goal here is to provide you with all the information you need to decide this for yourself, all in one place. This month, Humble seems to be hoping to atone for a lackluster start of the year, with one notable change from the last couple of months that indicates Humble has been listening to feedback from its customers, and that's a good sign. So let's jump into it. The first game on the list is Tomb Raider 1 to 3 Remastered. The iconic original Tomb Raider games have returned in recent years with some polished and well-received remasters, and this bundle includes the first 3 games and gives them the modern coat of paint, with the option to use the modern or classic graphics and control schemes, which you can change on the fly at the push of a button. This is nostalgia bait for some, but also just a damn good opportunity to visit the classic 3D action-adventure games from the 90s. The going price for this bundle on Steam is about 44 Australian dollars, so it's not cheap by any means, and it could make the bundle worthwhile just for this trilogy if you are super keen on it. The remasters are Steam Deck verified, meaning you should have a seamless and great experience playing on the go. They do feature achievements as well, if that's your thing, and they will comfortably run on basically any old hardware based on the recommended specs. Now the reviews are very positive, with 90% of all lifetime reviews of over 5,000 by the way, being positive and recommending the game. Reviewers mention that obviously the nostalgia hit is a big part of the appeal, but people are also praising the ability to switch between the original and modern graphics easily. The inclusion of the modern control scheme is an alternative to the classic tank controls, and that's seen as a very positive addition as well because that has not aged well. But people are also saying that these aren't perfect, and the games that are known for their clunky controls to begin with can still be a little bit painful to play. The inclusion of the expansions is also a bonus, and overall, these are seen as good quality remasters, not just lazy rehashes. So personally, I don't have the nostalgia goggles for Tomb Raider, beyond my sole childhood memory of the game, which is locking the butler in the freezer. However, I can appreciate that you are getting 3 high quality ports of classic, highly rated games, and I suppose you can't argue with that. So for me, that's a smash. The next game in the bundle is Dredge. Released in 2023, Dredge is a very highly regarded fishing adventure with some dark and sinister themes hiding below the surface. As you can imagine, your job is to fish. You sell your catch, you save up money to upgrade your equipment and your boat to reach deeper and darker depths. It's not quite a simple little fishing game though, it's also a bit of a Lovecraftian horror exploration game as well. The game currently retails for about $36, so again not a bad value proposition for a very well regarded game. And plus, if you want more, there are several DLCs available as well, with the larger Iron Rig expansion, I believe, worth, well, let's have a look here, about $18 on its own. So there you go. If you want more, it's there. Calling Dredge well regarded is probably an understatement. There's an impressive 95% of all lifetime reviews, all 35,000 of them, being positive, which is, almost unprecedented. It is also Steam Deck verified as well, so this would be a really good game to take on the go if you are a handheld enjoyer. So, as we mentioned, the reviewers love the game, stating that while it can be calm and relaxing to kick back and fish with a podcast on or playing music, it can also become incredibly tense and unnerving, and it sounds like it could possibly be a new genre pioneer called cozy horror. While the fishing minigame is simple, becoming increasingly challenging depending on what you're trying to catch, a mysterious and compelling narrative does unfold around you to keep you interested and, I suppose, motivate you to find out more. It is difficult to find a consensus on what the game doesn't get right, but some reviewers do say it can be quite shallow, I guess, outside of the fishing minigames, and it is fairly short overall. However, the overwhelmingly positive status on Steam should say it all. For me, definitely a smash. Moving right along, The next game in the bundle is Aliens Dark Descent, and this is a squad-based strategy game set in the iconic Aliens universe. Now, this features a story that is brand new to the franchise. It's not based on a movie, it is its own sort of self-contained story. And in this story, you must lead your soldiers through this real-time tactical combat across this mysterious alien planet and through, dark ships and interiors that are just teeming with these alien horrors. In order to succeed in preventing the xenomorph outbreak, you need to manage your squad along with their equipment, upgrades, specializations, and unique abilities, utilizing all the tools made available to you to survive. Now, this was released in 2023, and normally the game sells for about $65, as you can see here. So, in dollar terms, this is another good value add for the Choice bundle. Now, it does enjoy a very positive 88% of lifetime positive reviews, which is great because when I saw this, I've heard about it, it's been around for a little while now. I just assumed, it's just a little, franchise tie-in, nothing special, but obviously it is a genuinely good game as well. One thing to note is that this is not supported on the Steam Deck. And I suppose that's not surprising. Maybe this control scheme, this type of game, doesn't really lend itself well to that kind of form factor, but something to be aware of if you are a handheld enjoyer. Players do appreciate the atmosphere of the game, and they do find it to be a solid and challenging experience, especially for fans of tactical games. And hearing from fans of the Alien universe, they do praise that the art style and design is quite authentic. It feels genuine. On the flip side, some users do still report that there are bugs, including game-breaking bugs, not just the alien kind, and they find that the pacing of the game between all the action can become a bit boring, but overall it seems like a worthy game for strategy fans and alien fans alike. And personally, I happen to be big fans of both, so I'm quite keen to give this one a go. For me, easy smash. Next up we have 1000 Times Resist, and I have no idea if I'm saying that right. I'll be quite honest, I've never heard of this one before. And from what I can gather, this one is a bit of a weird one. I went out and did some reading and watched some trailers and some gameplay just to get some idea of what this was all about, and to be honest, I still really don't know. From what I gather, this is a thrilling, story-driven game based some unknown time in the future where the world is infected by some spreading alien disease and humanity has been forced to live underground to survive. And this does appear to be quite a deep and genuine narrative experience. It brings, forms of mystery but also dark themes that might lead to some anxiety and discomfort as well in this sort of immersive, devastated Earth. So it was released less than a year ago, actually, and it does enjoy an overwhelmingly positive review status on Steam with a staggering 97% of all reviews being positive, which is unprecedented, basically. It usually goes for about $30, and it does feature in a few bundles as well, including ones with other games and some that include the soundtrack and piano book and EP, so obviously the music is a point of pride for the developers here. It is Steam Deck playable, but not verified, so it may not be a curated experience, but it should just work on the handheld. And the word I keep seeing in all the reviews, special, and that's in the player reviews and also the, from professional publications. They'll just say it's special. It apparently is a deep and personal experience that feels like it was tailored to speak to you directly. It delves into, uncomfortable situations and anxieties and insecurities that are uncomfortable but also enlightening in a way. It's really hard to really explain what people are saying here. So, while this is very much a story game, the gameplay itself doesn't seem to be the focus, and so that appears to fall by the wayside, I guess, because the narrative is very much the focus here. But from the description and the reviews, that alone has got me really intrigued to see what this is all about. So I got to the point where I actually stopped reading and stopped watching, stopped trying to understand it because I didn't really want to spoil it for myself, because I thought I really want to add this to my collection and find out what it's all about. So, if this intrigues you, if this concept is something that sort of appeals to you, you can see from some of these screenshots there is some weird stuff going on. Maybe stop reading, don't read about it, go in blind, but check it out. For me, that's a smash. Okay, and game number 5 is Nova Lands. And this is a sandbox adventure game all about base building and automation. You settle on your island, you build your base, you build little helper drone robots, and you start automating. And before long, you need to reach out to another island to spread out your base, find more space to build, and tap into new resources. In between all of this, you can leave the cozy comfort of your base island to explore the rest of the planet, and you fight monsters and discover mysteries and whatever else is going on out there on this vast planet. And while it feels like we have seen this concept a dozen times before at least, Novalands does have a unique and distinct charm to it, I guess you can say. It does have a 91% positive rating on Steam, so it has been well received, and it is Steam Deck verified as well, so this could be a good cozy companion when you're out and about and playing. Looking at the reviews, players do love the accessibility of the game. Apparently it is quite a comfy experience with no real major pressure or stress or limitations early on, allowing you just to go at your own pace. And people do find the progression is quite satisfying as well, but most of the complaints I see seem to relate to the late game, where things become a bit tedious and building space becomes more scarce. There are also notes that the game has effectively been abandoned. A few people mentioned that. There hasn't been an update in, I think, a couple of years. So possibly, if there's anything broken in the game or not quite right, it's not going to get fixed at this point. It is done. And I can't verify this, but quite a number of users are reporting that there is a data collecting third-party program bundled in, which can be a little bit tricky to opt out of. So that might take some further research by you if you are concerned about that, but that's just something to be aware of as well. Overall, this does seem to be a well-presented package, but it doesn't seem to do a lot new either. And from the complaints, it seems that it's valid enough that I want to sort of look elsewhere for this kind of experience. I mean, I've got my base building and my automation fix elsewhere already, so I think I can comfortably pass on this one. Okay, and next up we have Diplomacy is Not an Option, and this is one game that I have had my eye on for quite some time now. So this is a colony sim strategy game set in a fantasy world, and it's the usual fare. You build your settlement, you fortify your defenses, and you recruit your armies to fight for you. The point of difference here is that there is just the sheer scale of the armies in this one. The enemies come in their thousands, and it's up to you to sort of organize your armies and weapons to survive the onslaught. So some compare this quite closely to They Are Billions, but maybe call it a bit more lighthearted and casual. But from reading the reviews, there is still quite a bit of challenge to this one as well. So it's not some, oversimplified take on the genre. The full release of the game was late last year, and overall it has a very positive rating of 85% of all lifetime reviews being positive, which is great. Usually this retails for over $40. Currently it is on sale for half price, but obviously if you get it in the bundle, you're still getting a very good value proposition there as well. And despite the size of the hordes and the amount of stuff going on at once, the required specs are still pretty modest as well, so you should be able to run this on basically anything relatively modern. In terms of reviews, the one common theme in the positive reviews that I've found is just how fun it is. Everybody seems to be having quite a good time with it, and judging by the gameplay videos, it's not surprising. It does look very, very fun to play. Players mentioned that the gameplay loop is quite satisfying, and the gameplay also includes some tower defense elements as well, if you are into that sort of thing. I know I certainly am. The light-hearted theme and good humor is also well received. People think it is quite, appealing to look at, and it's funny to play and watch. And, obliterating armies thousands strong with something like a space laser is just, you get a kick out of that, no matter who you are. Most of the negative feedback does seem to focus on the difficulty, which does seem to ramp up a little bit too quickly for some players, especially after a more relaxed and fun and chill first few hours. Players who were enjoying the chill start early on seem to get a bit of a rude shock because the difficulty spikes and suddenly their cozy games becomes overwhelming and stressful. Personally, I'm a fan of They Are Billions and strategy games in general, so I'm very keen to check this one out. For me, definite smash. Alright, up next we have Distant Worlds 2, and this is probably one type of game that I'm not too qualified to speak on. This is a 4X grand strategy game set in, the vast reaches of space as they are. But 4X games have never really been my thing, and so the obvious comparisons to other mainstays in the genre are not really something I can speak to. On its own, however, the game is generally well received, has a positive rating of 71% of all lifetime reviews, so it's not terrible, but it's not earth-shatteringly good either. Thankfully, if you've had your eye on this game, you won't have to pay the usual $70 for it. It is also half price at the moment as well, but again, being in the bundle, it's going to be a lot better value for you. So this game is a couple of years old now, released in March 2022, but it is still receiving updates, and there are several content adding DLCs available as well. Unfortunately, but not surprisingly, this game does not support the Steam Deck, so I don't know how this kind of game would play on a handheld like that anyway, but looks like you won't even have the choice to try. So the reviews are a bit hard to summarize for this one. You do have the diehard grand strategy fans who have put over 500 hours in this, giving this a thumbs up, saying it's fantastic, right next to players who have put in hundreds of hours and still give it a thumbs down, complaining that the game might not have enough depth or do enough different. The general feel is that it's not a bad game, but unless it's the type of game that really clicks for you, it may fall short in a few areas, particularly when you're comparing it to other similar 4X games in the genre. It does seem to be a very personal thing, so you may just need to try it and find out for yourself. For me though, this has never really been my kind of game, and I don't see myself getting into this one now, so for me, this is a pass. Last and maybe least, we have Nomad Survival, and just looking at the gameplay for this one, it's really hard not to draw a direct comparison to Vampire Survivors. Similarly, this checks off every characteristic that makes the quintessential Survivors game, and Nomad Survival seems to do it all in its own way, but nothing really unique. Watching the gameplay, it is hard to quantify exactly what sets this one apart, but the 88% positive reviews at least tells us that it is a solid entry that stands on its own. This is Steam Deck verified as well, which is just as well because this does seem like the kind of perfect game for you to be able to take with you. But there's not a lot to say about this one. If you've played Vampire Survivors, not much here will likely surprise you. All the reviews seem to share that sentiment, and Vampire Survivors just keeps getting brought up again and again and again. And when they're at the same price point, why not play Vampire Survivors instead? The reviewers do appreciate that there is good music and good progression and really satisfying combat and weapons and upgrades, but the game feels like a good freebie to check out because it was in the bundle, but maybe not one you go out of your way to buy or play. Personally, I'm not really looking for yet another clone in this genre, so I don't see myself even bothering with this one. I have Vampire Survivors already. I'm not really going to go out of my way to play this one. For me, pass. Bummer. And so there you have it. Those are the 8 games included in this month's Humble Choice summed up. But did you notice something? Not one word was muttered about an origin key. Yes, you're right, we're back with every game being provided as a Steam key, so that is a big win. We do have a strong month overall with a couple of really compelling entries, and I really feel like there will be something in this bundle for just about everyone to make it worthwhile. Even if only 1 or 2 games take your fancy, you're probably almost certainly going to come out ahead with the bundle rather than buying them individually. There's some very, pricey games that are included here, so pretty good value, I would say. We do have quality remastered classics, we've got highly rated indies, we've got challenging strategies, we've got immersive narrative experiences, all in one package, so there's not much to dislike here. I think this is possibly the strongest Humble Choice that I've seen in recent memory, and of course if you already do own a few of these games already, it's possible that the smaller inclusions won't be enough to tempt you, but overall, I'm enthusiastically going to smash the Select Games button this month. And so that is the April Choice bundle in the books. Hopefully you found this video useful in summarising the offerings of this month's bundle. My goal again is to include as much relevant information about the selected titles in one neat package, so I hope I found a good balance of details over the time it costs you to watch this video. As always, this content is still being refined, so please let me know what you liked and what you didn't like. I'll be back every month with another one, and I'll be covering a range of games in between, so please consider subscribing and stick around for more. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.